video, we're going to be looking at how we can rotate objects in our Blender scene. So, clicking away from the splash screen, we're going to be creating a very simple snowman. Now, you can probably tell a snowman doesn't start with a cube, so we're going to delete this object, and we're going to add some balls or some spheres. So, hit the delete key, press enter, and we now have a blank scene. To add a sphere, we go over here to the Create tab, and we look for a UV sphere, or a ball. Adding that, we get a nice round bottom of our snowman. Pressing F12, you see what the snowman looks like. At the moment, that snowman's probably a little bit too thin, a little bit too small. So hit escape, and what we're going to do is we're going to resize this by going to this little line here with the square or the cube on the end of it. This is our Resize tool, as you should hopefully remember from the last video. Clicking on that, we can start to stretch and make this sphere slightly bigger. Now, it's quite hard to tell that we've got a sphere that's the perfect size, and at the moment our snowman's starting to look a little bit like an egg. So I don't want that at all. I'm going to delete this shape actually. I'm going to show you another way of resizing very quickly. So hit delete, press enter, go back to create, UV sphere, and if I want to resize this, I have the S key on my keyboard, or S for size. I press that and it allows me to uniformly resize this in any way that I want. Okay, so I'm going to just drag my mouse out there and then just left click to confirm that's the size I want for my snowman. Is it too big? Maybe a little bit too big. Again, press S and just shrink it down a little bit by moving your mouse towards the center of the object. How's that? Okay, we'll stick with that for the moment. Now we need to have a head for our snowman. So what we're going to do is we're going to go again, Create tab, UV sphere, and we can't see it. That's because the shape is inside the other shape. So again, down at the bottom using this little panel, we're going to go to the arrow tool, and we're going to just drag that up and put it at the top like that. Now, our snowman's got a very big head, so shall we shrink it down a bit? And again, to shrink it down, you select the object, you press S, and you just move your mouse towards the center of the object, and it shrinks down. How's that? I'm going to just move the head down very slightly to make it look like it's stuck onto the snowman. And how's that? I think we're pretty much there. So, our snowman has a body and it has a head so far. We need to add a nose. Now, noses are normally made from carrots, as I'm sure you're aware. But what we're going to do is we're going to use a cone, because we don't have a carrot shape over here in our toolbar. So if we add a cone, it goes in there. And as you can see, the cone is probably a bit too big. So what we're going to do, I could press the S key and resize it, or I could use the tool again with the little line and the square on the end and resize it that way. And I think that gives me a bit more control over the shape of this. So let's just do that like so. How's that? How is that? Still a bit big. Shrink it down that way, and like so. Okay. So I have something which is kind of just about carrot shaped. So if I go back to the move tool here and I try and move it onto the snowman's head, well, I want it over here to the left of the snowman's face. Currently it's sitting on the top of his head. So what I need to do is I could move it like this, but again, troublesome because it's facing the wrong way. And as you can probably imagine, what we're looking to do now is we're looking to rotate something. So, using our panel down here, there's one tool we haven't used. This arc shape, this kind of curve shape here. This curve shape will allow us to rotate the nose. So if I click on that, transform, it gives me these little arcs, or these little curves that I can start to manipulate the shape on. So the red curve will allow me to rotate it in one direction at a time. And actually that's just the one that I want. So if I rotate it there, and then I go back to the move tool, move it down, move it out a bit. How's that looking? Let's press F12 to find out. And I start to have something which resembles a snowman. And of course, what you may want to do is you may want to add a hat. So a cylinder would be a very good start for that. very large cylinder, and again resizing using the S key. Okay, moving it down, and starting to look like a snowman. So I'm sure you could do better than that. Why don't you play around and see if you can add some eyes and some buttons, and maybe even a scarf.